Hello guys, welcome back to the nest. Hope you're all keeping well. Haven't seen you since last week. Sorry about that. I've just been needing time to think about how I'm going to talk about this next movie. Tonight's movie is another musical. Surprisingly, I don't really do these very often. I will very very soon. You don't forget we're still going up. You know, don't forget when you're at rock bottom, the best thing to go is there's only one way, and that's up. Anyway, tonight's review is West Side Story from 1961. I do know there has been one that... No, what am I going to say? I do know there has been a remake recently, but obviously, you know, I don't want to review that yet. You know, we stick to the original. I gotta say, this was probably one of the best musicals I've ever seen. It is kind of based off the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. You know, I've never watched the play or the movie, but you know, I do know that they both die in the end. Spoiler alert, do forgive me. And that's exactly what happens here. I will say I didn't really enjoy the beginning of it. Like, I was really worried because, you know, it had one of those overtures which I have to fast forward because I just want to get into the movie, you know, with King Kong. You know, because I'm actually wondering how long until this movie starts for real. It did. And once it started, you know, I wasn't really too pleased with the start because there was barely any talking. You know, they didn't really sing so much. It was basically just choreography. I actually found out that the Jets had their trousers dyed, you know, to make it look better for the editing and all that, for the choreography. It's set in the decade prior to because this movie came out in 1961, you know, the same year as the last movie, you know, 101 Dalmatians. I do have to admit, you know, I did not enjoy how there was barely any speaking at the beginning, but I guess as soon as the Puerto Rican gang, the Sharks I think they're called, they show up and then they just start arguing. So it turns out that the Puerto Ricans and the Americans don't like each other in this movie, and they just keep arguing, and the police keep on spotting them. Like, there's this one officer, Krupke? Yeah, Krupke, I think. Maybe it was a Guys and Dolls. I don't know. I can't remember. Please let me know in the comments if I'm right. But it turns out that they're all deciding to go to a dance that night. And the leader of the Jets, Riff, he decides to go over to his best friend, who works in Doc's store. And he decides to tell him about the dances going on that night, because he's his best friend. And also, he turns out to be a former member of the Jets. Turns out that the Puerto Ricans, or the Sharks are going to the same dance during the night. And I gotta say, there are some characters I sympathise with in this movie, because there's some characters in this that don't deserve to be, you know, in trouble, and, you know, deserve to be involved in all this conflict, such as Tony, for one example. Like, he wasn't even part of the Jets throughout the film. You know, he just remained loyal to them, and he was a best friend of Riff. And Maria, because, you know, she loves Tony very much, and, you know, it's just her... Is he older or younger? Probably older, because he's very, like, overprotective. Her older brother Bernardo, he's in charge of the he's in charge of the Sharks. And, you know, she gets brought into conflict all because she loves Tony and Tony loves her, and they start fantasizing their future together. I will admit, I kind of put some similarities between Marlon Brando's character and Gene Simmons' characters in Guys and Dolls, because, you know, they both fantasize. Same with Oklahoma, you know, it seems like every couple in a musical is deciding to run away to a different country, have kids, and, you know, make a life for themselves. It turns out in this one that doesn't happen because, well, you know, the tragedy in the end, you know. I actually found out that Offset, in order to really, really hate each other, to fuel up the hate, the guys who played the Sharks and the Jets, they were told to prank each other offset. I wonder what they did. Like, did they have to prepare stuff in advance? You know, did they throw water balloons? I don't know what kind of pranks they did back in those days. Obviously, imagine if YouTube was around back in 1961. I wonder how that would have worked. And they must have really hated each other. I'm sure there were actual fights offset, you know, compared to, you know, and this movie, because don't forget in this movie it's just fake fighting, you know, but in real life, you know, that would be a proper one. But I guess when they're on set, they just decide, you prank me. Yee. It's just a clap. Now we're kidding. We were told to prank each other. That night of the dance, I also say the guy in charge of the dance, he seems like a nice guy. He didn't deserve, and all the people at the dance didn't deserve to have their night ruined by everyone organising a street fight, you know, a big rumble. However, they just can't learn to get along, unfortunately. That's how tough it was back in those days. Doc, on the other hand, Tony's boss, he is actually a man of morals. You know, he's got his morals, and you know he's a man you gotta respect, because he always asks the kids, you know, why do you kids get on as if there's some kind of war on? I don't know. People just need to learn to get along in this movie, well, in this musical. And see, to be honest, I do wish that they decide to agree to a fair fight, you make a final. I really love Tony and Maria's chemistry throughout this movie. You know, they were out in the balcony, they were singing to each other, trying to avoid Maria's father. I don't know why we never get to see Maria's parents, you know. Just imagine what would happen if they did. I'm sure Maria's father would come out and beat Tony to a pulp. You name my daughter? And I love how Anita, you know, even though she's really loyal to Bernardo, you know, she loves him, she never actually reveals the romance between Tony and Maria. You know, that shows how much of a good friend she is to Maria, you know, even towards her boss and work in the, oh, what is it, the sewing factory, the dress sweatshop? Yeah, sweatshop. In the sweatshop, you know, she never reveals to the boss, you know, that she whispers the whole time. All the others just think that Maria is just insane. But she's in love. That's what happens. Just remember what happened in Cinderella, you know. She was in love when Lady Tremaine worked out why she was singing to herself. She realised she was the belle of the ball. Tony managed to get over. He tried to stop the fight, but unfortunately, Riff, he got out his knife, and Bernardo got out his. And it should have been a fair fight. You know, Tony tried to make things fair. You know, he tried to stop the fight. Unfortunately, Riff ended up getting killed, and Tony, out of anger, he ran up and he stabbed Bernardo, and both of them died. Tony managed to get away, but Chino, Maria's fiance, gotta say, I wasn't happy how, you know, she's being forced to marry this man. Maria is so heartbroken about her brother Bernardo. Tony tries to beg forgiveness. Obviously I was expecting Maria to be so annoyed she'd be like, kill her, kill her, God, God, God. But she understood why. In the end, you know, he killed Riff. Tony lost his feel. He didn't mean to kill Bernardo. You know, he was just so angry that his best friend was killed for absolutely no reason. But see, to be honest, Riff shouldn't have pulled his knife out first. There shouldn't have been any knives or guns or crowbars. There should have just been fists that night, you know. If someone got knocked over, that would have been, and they stopped, that would have been a fair fight. But they just couldn't learn to keep it cool. Obviously, Maria forgives Tony. She understood why he did what he did, and they decide to run away. Tony decides to hide out in Doc's store. When the police begin to interview Maria and Anita, you know, Anita decides to go look for Tony. However, whenever they get to Doc's store, the whole gang of Jets are already there, and they start harassing her, they start pulling her, you know, and that just causes Anita, you know, to bring the tragedy into effect. She leaves saying these words, if I saw you laying out in the street bleeding, I'd spit on you and walk away. Well, she's just right. You know, she was going to do something good, and she very nearly could have stopped the tragedy from happening, and she, out of anger, she lies and says that Chino had already killed Maria. This causes Tony to break down in tears. I felt sorry for Tony in this bit, but you know, he decides to go out to Chino. Chino, I'm right here, kill me as well. But as soon as Maria and Tony see each other, they run up, bang, Chino shoots Tony dead. And Maria becomes brutally honest and she says it wasn't the guns that did it. Bernardo and Riff didn't kill Tony. It was the hate that they all had for each other that just couldn't be demolished in flames. And since Maria, and I quote, is full of hate, she can now kill too. But that's the whole point of the story. You know, hate has led to the absolute tragedy because people can learn to get along and share a turf, and you know, it was just pretty much a big basketball court. You know, streets don't belong to anybody. In this movie, you know, it should have just been, you know, everyone shared. But I kind of feel like this is one of the movies where the villain ultimately wins, but also what he did just amounted to nothing, because I did see the ending whenever a mini funeral was held for Tony. You know, at least Tony gets to be with Riff now. Chino is taken away into custody by the police, and hopefully he's jailed for life for killing Tony. So he kind of wins and loses in a way. You know, I guess he's one of those villains that wins and loses in the end. I always saw that Maria had a bracelet on her, and I found out the reason why is because the actress who played her, whenever she was doing a film that came out in 1949, she had a bad accident on her wrist and had a bad injury. And ever since then, it's just become a highlight during her performances. Every one of her performances since then, she was wearing this bracelet on her wrist. And also, I also found out that the guy who played Riff, he was very, very unhappy with the choreography, but that he participated in. But whenever someone saw the movie with him in the premiere, he actually enjoyed it, and you know, and that changed Riff's the guy who played Riff's whole mind about everything. And another fact that I found out was that the girl who played Anita, whenever she shouted, "Get your hands off me," whenever she was being attacked by the Jets, she also said the same thing to Marlon Brando. Whenever I actually found out she was an ex-girlfriend of Marlon Brando, and he pointed this out whenever he saw the premiere. I guess any actor or actress in the world, whenever a premiere comes out, it doesn't matter if they're in the movie or not, they just go to it, you know, just see how their colleagues are getting on. But yeah, that's West Side Story. I will say, you know, I did enjoy the musical numbers. You know, do 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 do. Great singing voices. I did enjoy the choreography, but as I said, you know, in the beginning, I just felt like, you know, it was a silent movie. There was barely any dialogue at all. But as soon as they pulled through with the dialogue, the film got fantastic. Really enjoyed this movie. Gotta say, it's one of the greatest musical films I've ever seen. We got two Anitas in two movies from 1961. You know, in 101 Dalmatians, Roger's wife, and Anita in West Side Story as Bernardo's girlfriend. I gotta say, guys, I really enjoyed this movie. Maybe whenever I actually start reviewing these movies and have them on the screen, you know, showing my reaction to the actual movie, you know, that'll be in another few years. Not literally in another few years, but whenever I get past all these years in the marathon. I'm not telling you what year yet, but there should be a few more decades left until I get there. It will be this year. You know, promise to make this channel special this year. You know, I wanted to build up and I wanted to be successful this year. You know, after the horrendous 2 years we've had, with me not being consistent enough, you know, this time I am being more serious with this channel because, you know, I love doing this very much. You know, I want to make something out of this channel. You know, I want to put myself out there and I want to give YouTube something more, and yeah, that's just what I want to do this year. Thank you guys so much for watching and being understanding. Hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to leave a comment on what else you would like to see in this channel. Subscribe for more content. Don't forget to turn your notification buttons on. I shall see you in the next review. I'm not telling you what it is yet, obviously, but it's a surprise. I gotta say, it's a movie based off a book, but you don't get to know what it is yet. So just hang on in there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I shall see you guys in the next video. And I love you all to death, and don't forget to take care of yourselves, and just, you do you. The world's yours. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care of yourselves.